Okay, and quiz 6, I'm going to start with the first equation, but we had a little problem with here because that's why I ask you not to balance the charges. Why? Why? Because on the if you balance the charges, the equation was wrong. So you could have balanced it without the charges and get a 69. But what happened is that I was missing this. The question was missing this. I tried to look for the question, but the question was originally wrong where I got it from. So I had to make the corrections, and now I'm going to explain it to you. Because what happens is that when you have here ammonia, right? The P4 plus O2 in water, and water is going to form phosphoric acid. That's the reason, plus the ammonia, which is a weak base. And that's another thing. I don't want to get too much in details until we see what it's an acid and a base, and you'll see. But ammonia is a weak base, and this is an acid. So, relative weak. It's strong, relative strong, but not too much. So, much stronger is the hydrochloric acid. But when you have this, right? Uh, Hello. Okay, I discovered that I didn't have audio on the prior problems. But let me explain. As you probably saw what I did, couldn't hear it. But basically, what I said about this is that I started balancing with charges, and I always balance. This was the phosphoric acid with ammonia that has to produce H3O. That's what it was missing. So that's right now is not important, but because when we see electrolytes, okay, I was saying that on regarding the phosphoric acid and what you see here, don't worry about it. If you didn't hear, it was just explaining what happened with the acid, the ammonia, which is a weak base, and the acid. And what happens with the weak acid when ionized and with an acid, what type of acid is phosphoric acid? But then you don't need to know it now. The thing is that here was missing the H3O plus. I was looking for the question, and the question that got it from, I got the question and it was wrong. So I had to redo the question myself, and it was missing the H3O plus. So and I didn't notice that. So now I'm sorry for that. But now you had the option of not balancing the charges. How I said, just forget about the charges and balance the atom, or balance it with the charges. But now what I was saying here is that this on the right is the charge, the balance the charge. So what did I do? I balanced the whole equation, right, with the atoms, and then I double checked that the charges were balanced. And usually that's the way I always did, and I still do it. Once you balance the atom, the charges should, if the equation is right, of course, the charges should be balanced. So that's the simple way for me. On this one, what I was explaining is that you have to find out the moles. What they're asking here is what do you have at the end? Of course, hydrogen and oxygen are going to produce water, but you're going to have, if you look at it, it's going to have reagents, right? Or pure water as the product, or you're going to have an excess of one of the reactants, or both. What do you think you have to do here? Find the limiting reagent with 8 grams of hydrogen and 32 grams of oxygen. If you divide by the molar mass of each one, you're going to have 1 mole of oxygen and 4 moles of hydrogen. Well, what do you do? Determine the limiting reagent. I took the 1 mole of oxygen, find out how many moles of hydrogen you need, and it's a 1 to 2 ratio, so you need 2. And you will have 4, so you're going to have all the oxygen is going to be consumed, is going to be the limiting reagent, and the hydrogen you're going to have an excess of 2 moles. 4 minus 2 that reacted with the oxygen, 2 moles. So at the end you're going to have letter B, hydrogen and water.